Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Teach, Sleep, Repeat. My name is Dylan.
And my name is Hayden.
My hands always come out like I'm introducing a show.
You are extremely animated.
I know. I get so excited every time. I've got to G myself up.
That's nice.
I know. Because I don't, normally, if it was just a normal morning where I wasn't doing this.
Yeah, having to talk to me.
Yeah. I got a quick thing to say because Hayden and I share a ChatGPT account. We use AI for certain things to help every now and then. And I don't use it that much at all, really, but we share an account.
No.
And I don't know if anyone's used ChatGPT before, but down the side where you do like new searches or new queries,
new chats.
Sorry, because you use it so much, and it like kind of gives it a title, summarizes it.
Yeah.
And I was searching something the other day, and I just looked to the left, and I said, "Oh, wonder what I don't think I've searched that." And I realized when I shared account, and it said, "Why do I wake up feeling exhausted every day?"
Literally,
AI, help me!
It exposed me big time. Well, you were pleased to know. I was kind of hoping you'd have had a look by now, but you'll be pleased to know I've left another relic in there for you yesterday. Yeah. So next time you check ChatGPT,
okay,
enjoy yourself.
Next podcast episode.
Yeah, literally. After you told me you saw that, I was like, right, I'm going to search sleep on purpose now to see if he buys the bait.
Oh my god, it really made me laugh because we've had this conversation so much over the years. How when that feeling of waking up not satisfied with the amount of sleep you had, no matter how much sleep you've had. And we both agreed in the past, it was like, well, it's clearly nothing to do with active sleep then, is it?
Yeah.
Because even when I get 10 hours sleep or 5 hours sleep, you wake up groggy and it's like, oh, it's probably the thing we know it is, which is our diet and our lifestyle.
Yeah, I don't know why I ChatGPT.
I
don't know. I think I was hoping it'd be like, yeah, you've got this condition, you need to take these tablets and it'll fix your life. Of course not. No, it's like, stop eating 5 Easter eggs every day. Maybe do that, right? And go to bed on time, and then maybe you'll be all right. And it's I don't know about that, actually.
Can't trust AI.
Yeah, is it that, or is it something else? I don't know. I better just ask ChatGPT. I'm a little bit disappointed, actually, in you this week, speaking of food.
Go on.
Because you were gearing up to get yourself a kebab.
Yeah.
If you've listened, recently, you'll know about the Mr. Kebab, the kebab shop of dreams, the kebab shop from heaven itself.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful food.
Well,
you were going to get one.
I was, because you sent me another voice note saying that you got your second kebab, like second stint of kebab, whether a new story. You'd already left 2 reviews.
Yeah.
And then we spoke about that previously, and you said you're going to leave a 3rd review because the newest kebab you had was the best one you've ever had.
Yeah, and it was a bit different because the previous ones were wraps, and I rang them up this time just to tell them.
That was the best part of this story. That was the funniest part of this story was that you picked up the phone. This is someone who avoids phone calls. Like you're not as bad as me, but the idea of ringing someone for something I need, like puts fear in my heart. You rang them just to say your kebab's good. It's lovely, but it's hilarious.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? It was brilliant. But then you didn't get one. I was well pumped for you to leave your own review.
Rory was going down late. The timings didn't match up. I needed to get something quick, so I just didn't bother ordering.
Dreadful. Well, I tell you what, speaking of kebabs, clearly ChatGPT is not going to save me. Yesterday, I was outside. You know this, Dylan, but I've got to tell everyone, right? We were outside in my house, and my neighbour came across because our garden's like, touch, whatever.
What? Sorry.
What's the word?
Sorry.
Join.
Are you explaining to? Sorry. Wait a minute. Are you explaining to our listeners how next door neighbours work?
I don't know what I was trying to say.
For all of you out there who don't know what next door neighbours are, next door neighbours are where they are next door to your house, and there's a boundary where the things.
Okay, our driveways they meet.
Right. Okay.
Because neighbours. That's how it works,
right.
Dylan, isn't it?
Thank you.
Sometimes
so
it happens
much.
in houses.
I was just sat there thinking, what's a bloody next door neighbour?
How does it work?
I don't know.
How do they always know? Anyway, they come home and we bumped into them on the driveway and we're chatting to them. And our neighbour, for context, they're like late 70s, so much older than me. And the neighbour looked at me and was like, "Oh, you put on weight." And I was so taken aback. Yeah, because he's I get on really well with these guys. They come around with dinner next week, but it was just like clearly a generational thing where he was like, "Oh, is that a bit blunt?" He was like, "I just say things how it is. You just look a bit stockier." And I was like, "Well, I have been eating multiple kebabs and Easter eggs, so yeah, I guess I am. Cheers, mate." When you don't know how to react because he wasn't trying to be mean.
No,
and he was literally just being like, him. "Oh, you've put on some weight.
Oh, you've had a haircut.
You've had a haircut. Well, you're a bit bigger.
You haven't had a haircut.
I haven't had a haircut. No. Well, I've had many of them. But yeah, it's just so funny. It's so funny how like completely different like that generational thing is. Unless he was just being rude, I don't know. But
no, yeah, I think a lot of people get out of older people when you go and see a nan and sort of look at you, little podgy.
Yeah, like grab you.
Yeah. Nans are usually the ones trying to feed you.
It's true. Yeah, you're the reason. Now I cry when she tells me I'm fat. But yeah, I just thought it was so funny. Just literally was like, oh, you're getting fat. Like in as as good as any different words. I was like,
and I'm enjoying it. And do you know what you can say?
Yeah.
All bought and paid for.
All bought and paid for, baby. I just said, look at your belly. I got really angry and stormed off.
How many Easter eggs do you think you've already eaten? Because for context, we're filming this. It's the week before Easter. How many do you reckon you've eaten?
Like honest, I'm not exaggerating.
Well, of course I want your honest answer.
Probably like 7.
7?
Maybe like 7.
Proper ones or small ones?
No, little ones. Little ones.
Right.
Yeah,
have you had any proper like big ones?
I've had one of the ones that are like £4. And the rest of them have all been those like £1.50, like the little mini egg ones. I've eaten a lot of them.
Yeah,
because they're just a snack, aren't they?
They are.
They're just
egg form.
One go, like you don't stop. I don't stop eating that. Do you know what I mean? I crack open the egg and it's just bum, whole thing's gone.
If you want to have any help with food habits, Charlie's episodes a couple of episodes ago.
Literally.
If this sounds like you.
Yeah, this is why I needed him.
Yeah, 100%.
This is why I needed him.
Absolutely.
And still need him.
Yeah.
Because I have a terrible self-control.
Well, next door knows you need him.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And if anyone doesn't know what a next door neighbour is, it's where your house it's where you live. It's the one next to you where there is a line.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what's the other side?
That's wait for this.
Yeah.
That's also called your next door neighbour.
Hell,
I know, right?
Yeah. Typical English language, eh? Can't think of words right? For these things. The same word, homophones.
Probably the most descriptive, simple thing I've ever heard. Next door neighbour.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Anyway, speaking of houses, how's your house getting on, mate? Because your house has been a bombshell for about 2 months.
All right. Yeah. No, it's good. We're very lucky to have amazing people working on our house. Genuinely, like so Lauren's dad does a lot of the bits around the house. He's been organising basically everything, getting people in to do stuff. We've had walls knocked down, things. The kitchen's really nice and open now. I've had the upstairs done. We'll be moving up there for the podcast very soon. So new podcast studio. More of a studio than we currently have.
Get out of this dump.
I can't wait to get out of here. So that'll happen at some point. And most importantly, the upstairs bathroom has been done.
Yeah, you keep raving about this.
Because it's the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I don't know about any of you guys. Right, okay. I don't think I'm being dramatic here when I say it has transformed my life.
What do you mean? It's a bathroom?
Because there's a shower up there, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't like showers. Okay. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Not because I love after the shower the feeling of being clean, and I still shower.
So you
every
like
day.
washing?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But the actual act of a shower, where it's like rain. I don't like it. I don't stop laughing at me.
Sorry.
I don't like standing underneath a shower head and being pitter patter constantly. Yeah. I hate it. It's just sensory overload, and
that's fair enough.
I don't like it at all. And our shower in our house is the smallest shower you will ever see. So usually what I like to do in a shower, and I might be the only person in the world, I don't know, let me know, because I've said this before and they've thought, what is wrong with you? I like to stand not under the water. Right?
Classic showering procedure, that.
No, I stand not under the water and I put my hand in and cup the water and then
What are you talking about?
I don't like standing under it. It feels horrible. So I cut my hand. I'll stand I'll stand on the like the shower's my next door neighbor, right? There's a line, isn't there, where the water starts. Yeah. So I'll stand as close to that as I can, and I'll push my chest in. Maybe I want to wash my chest. But then if I want to do anything else, like under my armpits or around my legs and stuff, I'll cup some water in, or just gently put my leg in, and I'll just do bits at a time because I don't like being in the shower. But our shower is so small that I'm constantly in it, and it's just it's a nightmare. I hate it. I hate every second I'm in the shower. I try to do it as quickly as possible. Anyway, upstairs there's a brand new shower. It's huge.
Yeah,
you could fit 5 people standing in there comfortably and have a party,
which we'll test.
Yeah, we will test later on. And then the shower turns on, and I can so comfortably, with room to swing a cat and go around, I can stand outside the shower now.
Yeah,
as in inside the shower, kind of the outside. What's it called? The door.
Yeah,
I can stand.
Neighbor.
I can stand in. I can stand in there, but not under the water,
right? And
have the best time ever. I've moved from having a reluctant shower a day because I just hated it, but I know I want to be clean, to I'm having 2 showers a day now.
2 showers, someone who hates showering. You're having 2.
I'm having 2 a day.
You're a bit like a cat, actually, aren't you? So swinging a cat, because cats hate water. They hate it. You can put a cat in a shower. It'll be doing what you're doing.
Me and the cat.
It'll be sat to the side, lathering up its body.
Me and 6 cats can get in that shower upstairs now, having a great time.
Yeah, I just love the idea that you've forced yourself to shower all these years because the shower environment just hasn't been quite right for you.
Yeah.
And what you do is you basically make little mini baths in your hand and bath yourself in the most awkward possible way rather than just going and having a bath.
No, because baths take time. It's like convenience. It's like, geez, do you want a bath? Yeah, see you in 2 hours when it's filled up. I know it's too hot. And, it's just such a nuisance, a bath. And you waste all that water. I don't know, Hayden. I just, yeah, that you know.
Do you think you waste
faff,
more from a bath or from having a shower?
Are you taking the mick?
I don't know. It depends how long you shower.
Are you joking?
What do you mean?
It's nowhere near. What?
Okay, what? One bath full?
Oh my gosh!
You run a bath for like 2 minutes, but you'll be in the shower for like.
You run a bath for 2 minutes. This is my point. It takes like half an hour to run a bath.
No, it doesn't.
No, it takes ages.
Minutes.
It takes ages. No, they're incomparable.
Really? Do you think?
Yeah.
So?
No, no, Hayden. I don't think. I know.
So running a shower for like 10 minutes solid.
Yeah. Would nowhere near fill up a bath.
Surely. No. I've got to test it. I'm going to ChatGPT in a minute. I'm going to find out.
I'm going to find out all these next. Yeah, it's very common knowledge that having a shower is much better for the environment.
So is it dumb that I can't comprehend the idea that they might not be roughly equal?
I'm like doubting myself now. This is where we're on a podcast. We've got to be careful what we say, haven't we?
Yeah.
But I'm very much amazed that you think they're comparable.
Yeah.
I think that a shower is way less. Viewers, listeners, let us know right now.
What wastes more water?
But by the time you listen to this, we'd have gone on
a
and
bath
found out.
Or Dylan's 2 showers a day.
My 2 showers a day.
Yeah.
My 2 showers a day. Don't mention I'm in there for 7 hours. So just the whole of my waking time is just spent in that shower.
That is. Thank you for that.
Anyway,
that was a joy.
Yeah. Well, let's get on to why we're actually in this podcast now, because we've saved a big chunk of this podcast. Normally we might go on for a bit at the start. We've saved a big chunk of this because we are going back to our roots, Hayden. One thing that really propelled this podcast when we first started off, one of our most streamed episodes, was I think our 5th episode. And it was about toxic schools. And we were opening up about what it's like to work in a toxic school, what a toxic school looks like. And it resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now, on TikTok, we've recently gone over 10,000 TikTok followers. So if you're coming from TikTok, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And I did a post on TikTok, which was, let me know your most toxic stories from school. And I even said, I'm not talking about an empty staff room. I'm not talking about having to underline kids' dates and stuff for them. I'm talking about really toxic stuff that was just unbelievable and you struggled to continue to work in that school. Exactly that. And I think, having looked at the comments, which are near 1,000 now,
it's mad.
It popped off. We've gone through and selected what we think are the most... I was going to say best, but that's obviously the wrong word.
Yeah, just shocking, I guess, right? Just like ones that just made us go, oh, I'm not... we've seen a lot of... We spoke to a lot of people, haven't we? We've seen a lot of stories.
Yeah.
And some of these ones were just like, I can't believe this.
Yeah. And some of them... honestly, we're not going to read out most of them. Some of them I read and I thought, that's horribly toxic. But unfortunately, I've heard that. And that happens a lot.
Happens
and it's all the time.
We all sort of know about it. Yeah, we tried to pick ones... But I guess it's just a bit more like as if this has happened.
So I can't wait to stick our teeth into this, to talk about them. And I really want to know from you guys, how many of these do you recognize? And what do you think of them? Get in touch with us.
Yeah, where can I do that, Dylan? Before we play the jingle?
Teach, Seek, Repeat Podcast on Instagram. And you can find us on TikTok now, Teach, Seek, Repeat Podcast. And you can get in touch with us via email. And this isn't an email thing, but if you've got this far into our little chat, you've not even got to the bug of the episode yet.
Can I say it? Can you leave us a review, specifically 5 stars?
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Let us know. Let's dive straight in to the most toxic stories we have ever seen in a school. Before we dive in, and this is going to be a laugh, and we're going to have jokes, and we're going to say how ridiculous these things are. There is genuinely a serious point I want to make now, like a slight trigger warning. Where we will be mentioning some horrific things, because some of the comments we got were about bereavements, were about problems. Think about how dominated our profession is with women, and they were about pregnancies. And there'll be some stories in here that people might resonate with and might make them upset. And just be aware of that when we're going through this, that everything we're saying is true. It's from real people. These are real issues. There will be some scattered in there, some funny bits. Some bits that we can have a good laugh about.
Almost so ridiculous that they're laughable.
Yeah, exactly.
Not because we think that's funny, but because it's laughable that the SLT or whatever it is that's doing the toxic thing could actually think that.
Exactly. So we're going to have a laugh. We're going to have a joke. But there are going to be some here where we just can't laugh about because they're just horrendous. Yeah. And I just want to let you guys know that before we dive in.
Proper trigger warning. We've not done that before.
I know,
right?
Had
to do that before, but there we go. That's what happens when you talk about toxicity in schools. We have to put a trigger warning out because that's how bad it is.
Exactly.
In some places.
Should we start with the first one?
Yeah, go on.
Because this is incredible. This is incredible. Worked in a Catholic school. Got asked to do a lunch duty every week without pay. Oh, that's toxic. Wait, not finished. And then told, quote, like Jesus, we all have to make sacrifices.
That's funny to me. It's bad. Yeah. And it's funny because it's like, come on. Yeah, you can't say that.
I know.
You can't say that.
Wait, they can.
Like Jesus, we all have to make sacrifices. So actually, we're donating all of your pay this month. So are you? You're. Oh, thank you for making the sacrifice on my behalf. That's the best thing, about sacrifice, isn't it? When someone else chooses it for me.
Yeah.
Cheers.
You've got to look up the definition of what a sacrifice is here.
Yeah.
Isn't a sacrifice something you choose to do?
It's I sacrifice myself. You don't sacrifice me. What are you talking about? Honestly, that's just mad. What a funny one.
That was a good one to get started.
Yeah.
In general, whilst we're on like Catholic schools and stuff, I used to go to a Catholic school, and I don't think it was toxic inherently, because I really instilled in me a bit of the idea of service.
Right.
The idea of giving to other people.
Okay.
And I can kind of see this train of thought here of, well, we all have to make sacrifices. We'll have to give to other people. But I can see where that does become toxic.
Yeah.
I can see that seeping into the workplace.
Well, yeah, you can totally use it to manipulate people.
Yeah.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
Oh, we have this big culture of service, don't we? So now I want this thing, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just going to gaslight you into thinking it's because of the service thing. It's actually not because of I just want this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because of the service that we all do, whatever.
Yeah.
No.
There's just a line, isn't there? Where if it's something like there's a carol service tonight, it'd be nice to go.
Yeah.
Even now, although I might not agree with it, I think that's nicer and kinder and more of a way to kind of use that than do a lunch duty. This is just pure profiting from free work.
Yeah, but no, because Jesus told you to do it. Sorry. It's like, what? Come on.
Do you know what? Actually, I'm so silly. I forgot John 2:11. Thou shalt work for free in lunch duty.
Yeah.
That was
it's literally, they put it in our contract recently,
didn't
they?
Yeah,
they put it in there because they know we're all
Bible verses.
Yeah, we all follow the Bible.
Of course.
Madness.
How could I forget?
Quick question, deep question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. Would you send Rory to a Catholic school? Like if that was like the closest school to you, and would you send him to a Catholic school, or would you be like, no, I don't actually want him to go to a Catholic school?
I wouldn't. Okay, Rory's my son, for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule it out immediately just because it was a Catholic school.
Sure.
However, I would not prefer that.
Yeah. Okay.
So if there was a school down the road and it was an amazing school and had a really lovely ethos and it was a nice place to be for him and he can learn stories, I'd be more willing to let him go. However, having gone to a Catholic school myself, I do fundamentally disagree with how the religion is taught there, and how it seeps into absolutely everything. If it was just like standalone RE lessons and maybe they taught it as Jesus did this, like it was a fact, maybe I could deal with that better in terms of I could say to Rory, well, look, Rory, you're in a Catholic school. This is what Catholics believe. It's not necessarily true. But I think that'd be confusing for a kid for me to then say, oh, by the way, but the other things you're learning, that's just a fact. That's true.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be hard for me to get through to him. But where I really struggle with things like Catholic schools is I struggle with how it is just embedded into everything. For example, I went to a Catholic school. There were framed pictures of the Pope in every room. There was. I know you're laughing because it seems crazy, right? But there were framed pictures of the Pope in every room. We started every lesson with a prayer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
every single assembly was essentially a preaching sermon.
Yeah.
It was essentially this is what happened, kids. Jesus did this and it's true and it's for you and you need to go and do that.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah. I think, young minds are very impressionable. I think Catholic schools probably for me on average, like you said, that I wouldn't rule it out straight away, but the probability of them probably going too far with indoctrination to me is a bit I don't really want to take that risk. I don't really want my child to be indoctrinated into a religion rather than just at 6 years old when they will believe anything. Do you know what I mean? That's what I have a problem with that.
But although I do remember being in year 1 and being read the Noah's Ark story and my teacher saying this is true and me thinking, no, it's not. I remember thinking, that this clearly isn't true. And there'll be loads of Christians out there going, well, it's not literally true. It's this.
Yeah, but you were 6.
But I was 6 and I was being told that this was true.
Most kids would think that's true.
And that's absolutely true. As in, it's not true story, but it's true that kids would think that.
Yeah. But you got to remember that you're the kid that the year before that was eating silica gel in class. You're not quite the same.
I was the kid in the year 2 class who was supposed to be in year 1 but got skipped a year. I was that kid.
All right,
just slipping that in there,
Mr. Oh, I got a math specialism as well.
I stayed in year 3 for 2 years. They're let's not this one out.
We went too far.
And I very quickly, I think faith schools, will do a whole episode in this perhaps in the future. I think it's different again to a Church of England school.
Yeah.
And I think that's different again to just a straight up state school with nothing to do with religion.
Yeah.
My gut instinct is always secularism in terms of you should not have public services like that with any kind of religious force behind it.
Yeah.
But I've literally worked in a Church of England school
Yeah.
where it's done, in my opinion, the very, very much the right way, which are just, here are some strands of ways we can live our life that's taken from this religion. We have almost a theme of this religion here, but we're very much inclusive of all religions. You don't have to pray. It's not essential. We tell you to think for your own, basically.
Christian values, basically.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly,
It's classic. It's very it's very normal, I think, isn't it, in this country to see Church of England schools saying, oh, these are Christian values. You don't have to be a Christian, but they're just good values to live by. Society will be good if you do these things. I don't have a problem with that.
There's a line there, but Catholic schools, I would honestly err on the side of rathering Rory not go to.
You'd really have to vet
because we're not a Catholic family.
No,
it's not even like it's just why would we? We're not a Catholic family.
So and I wouldn't even, just for clarification as well, because I know you think the same. I don't care what my child ends up believing or not believing.
No.
But the idea of telling them to believe something when they're 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way through, when their brains are sponges and they still think the Easter Bunny's real.
Exactly.
It's like they're not ready to make their own mind up yet, so this is just indoctrination.
Mate,
to me.
I worry with the idea of telling Rory that Father Christmas is real. I struggle with that idea. I will. Yeah. I obviously will, because it's so magical and I loved Christmas so much growing up.
Yeah.
But you're talking to someone here who feels guilt inside of him, knowing that I'll be lying to him and having at some point to be like, oh, do you know that really lovely story I told you for 7 years? That's not true, by the way. Sorry. Why would I want to do? Why would I want to do that? I get it's magical and stuff, and I will do it, like I said a million times. But that's what you're talking to the person who thinks that. So when we extrapolate that to a whole religion, of course I don't want you to teach him that this is true. What I want you to teach him is Christians believe this. But I'd love next week for him to learn about the Sikh religion. I'd love the week after for him to learn about Buddhism. I don't want him to not learn about these things.
And then humanism.
Exactly that.
And agnosticism and atheism, all this, like all of it. It's just is just wild views. And
exactly. I want him to
make up your mind.
Exactly. I want him to learn how people view the world. That's the end of it. And religion comes into that massively and should be involved in that process. Sure. But what I don't want is someone coming up to him and saying, well, Rory, we all have to make sacrifices. So you're staying at your break time today. Jesus would have made sacrifices to stay and do your work, please. Yeah.
Do you want Jesus to be disappointed? It's like, whoa, okay, now that's gone too far.
That's gone too far. By the way, Father Christmas is not happy. You better behave.
You're on the naughty list.
So, hypocritical much, maybe.
Funny. Well, anyway, we went off a bit of a tangent there. Let's go back to this episode, shall we? That was good. So another comment, someone said about toxic schools, having wall displays graded as outstanding, good, or requires improvement or inadequate. Graded displays, man. That's like our worst nightmare, isn't it?
There's so much on every level wrong with this one. Firstly, as teachers, it's literally written now in the appendix of the teachers' paying conditions document that we are not expected to do displays.
Yeah.
So straight up, we should not even be expected to be updating and doing displays. So that's already wrong. Mm-hmm. Then the fact it's graded, we aren't even really supposed to have graded in observations now for actual lessons.
They're long gone.
So that's supposed to be gone. So where does displays come on that list of things that should be graded? Observations would be top. So they're not even being graded.
And I'd love to know what their metric is. As in how they deem it as outstanding.
That's such a good point.
Is it based on how much they like looking at it?
Yeah.
Or is it based on how useful it is for the kids? Because I bet it's not that one. I bet I could make a terrible looking display that actually just had some stuff on it that was useful for the kids. It looked awful. Yeah. But I'd said to the kids every day, if you're stuck, use that thing. I'll put the 5 key things up there. Just use that every day, and it's a useful display. And then I could do another display that was just like some beautiful tree, like I've got in the corner of my room.
It's not double back though.
Not double. Yeah. Oh, it's like, what do you mean outstanding? I hate that. We should just avoid that.
Isn't that a huge red flag? If I walked into a school, I was walking around. This is where. Do you know when people say things you should look out for when you go around in schools? This is the bit where I'm like, I can't really help you with this. Like, how do you find out that a school grades their displays without just straight up asking them or teachers there? Like,
I don't know.
If you were looking for a new job in a new school, that would be if I'd got a job, I was so excited and I started and I found out that happened on week 1, I'd be gutted because it would be so it would be so symbolic of the way they treat the school. That I'd be like, that honestly, that would probably be enough for me to be like, I don't think I want to work here.
Yeah, because if you do this, you probably do this, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. I wonder if we should try and do sometime, put together genuinely like a little list of things that you should ask when going around on a visit. Because I bet there is a way you could casually, without standing out like a sore thumb, just say, oh, that's a really nice display. What's the kind of expectations of displays in this school? Definitely. And I bet that's enough to bait someone into giving you just enough information to know whether it's going to be toxic or not.
Are you really, really toxic?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That'd be your list. We're not going to write it your way.
I do think, though, on that very quickly, when people walk around for interviews and stuff, you have to be really careful what you ask, because there's a balancing act here of sometimes you just need a job. So there is a balancing act here of, okay, look, I don't like the fact that displays are graded. So do I want to find this out?
Yeah.
Or do I need the job so much that it's not worth me asking that to look like that person to SLT?
Yeah.
Because no matter how you dress it up, everything we say and do in this podcast, I can imagine if this podcast was played to senior leaders across the country, a huge proportion of them would be like, I think it's great what you're doing, lads, but I wouldn't hire you.
Yeah.
Because immediately it's like, well, this guy won't give me this free stuff. This guy will speak up for that. That's not something that I want in my team, even though I'm trying to be a good leader, because it will be something where my staff end up doing less.
Yep.
So when you're asking questions, I think us making a list might be really helpful, actually.
Yeah, because you can do it casually.
How do you do it?
Carefully.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and if every question you ask is all about like clearly about like reduction in workload,
right,
they're going to start getting the hint. And if it is a school, like most schools really, that are thinking we do kind of run off of the goodwill of teachers, because that is the state of the education system right now, is like I do kind of require everyone to do 20 hours, whether I disagree with it or not, at the weekend.
So true.
If they notice that, it might put you knock you down in their favor, even if they're nice people. It's a tricky one.
Do you know what you should do instead? Come work for our school that was dying.
Yeah, let's start a school. Let's start a school, shall we?
Maybe eventually.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'd actually love that. Anyway, next one, ready?
Yep.
Go on, go for it.
Oh, thank you. Anonymous Wellbeing Survey. This one was unreal. Head didn't like the answers from the Anonymous Wellbeing Survey. So, what do you think he did, Hayden?
I don't know.
He read them out to the staff in a staff meeting and argued each individual point back about how wrong the staff were.
Mate, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing, isn't it?
It is really embarrassing.
That's like, you need to grow up sort of thing.
100%.
Like really immature.
Yeah. What are you doing an anonymous wellbeing survey?
If you can't take it.
Exactly. Don't do it then.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to pretend to not be toxic as hell.
Yeah.
Don't go halfway and then moan about it when it works against you.
It shows how hard it is not to be personal. Like take things personal though in this kind of job.
That's true.
Because we do devote our lives to it. And do you know what? Most SLT do devote their lives to these jobs.
Absolutely.
It does show that it's very, very hard to strip it back to actually though, I'm also just a manager of loads of other adults who I'm responsible for their free time or not. Like I just need, and if they're all complaining about something, I need to take it on the chin, not personally, but just do something about it. I need to put systems and structures in place and not take it personally. Very hard to do that.
From your point of view then, where's the line between something being actually wrong, right? Empirically being like, no, that's against, work code or your contract, or that's just, I should not be doing that. And where the impression of most people is that your work don't like what they're being asked to do. So where's your line between, okay, I know that's empirically wrong because I shouldn't ask you to be doing this extra work after school hours. But there's this other thing where actually, as a head teacher, I am actually allowed to, and the unions say it's okay to have different subject coordinators who aren't on TLRs and should just be running these subjects. God. And that's okay. And I need people to be coordinators of these subjects, but all of my staff are saying that's horrendous and awful. Does that outweigh the fact whether it's actually right or wrong?
I see what you mean. It's kind of like a classic, when you're in the know, you might know the greater good.
Yeah, not even the greater good, but you might just be like, oh, but okay, you might not like what I'm asking you to do, but it is okay and accepted, and it is part of the job.
And I am your boss, and this is just a job.
Right. So what's the line for you? Like, is it like, okay, it doesn't matter. If 90% of your staff team think something, that's enough for me that I should change it, or do you fight that and be the bad guy?
God, that is a really, really hard question. Because I don't really know. I don't really know exactly. There's no line, I don't think. I think everything has to be case by case. I almost think, this is probably the best way I can prove that it's case by case. I think that some decisions you would have to make differently depending on literally the members. If you had a completely different staff team in the same environment, same situation, same school, you might make a decision differently because they're just different people. Okay, in all honesty.
But you still need a coordinator for your subjects. How do you go about that? Like, you can't just not have them. And if one set of staff are more bullshit about it, do you just be like, oh, well, sorry, like,
there are some hard lines, I guess. Like, you can't just be like, the teaching's tough, I don't want to be in the class anymore. It's like, well, you are, it's your job, you're a teacher. And I get it, so subject coordinators. But what you can do is then, if they're all complaining about it though, I don't think you should just go, I've got to have them though, tough. I think it's your job as a leader of a school, in a job that we know is horribly underfunded and like overworked already. It's your job, if the majority of people are saying something, to actually just take it seriously and try to do something. I'm not saying, then you don't get to do that subject leader job anymore. Just give them some time.
Exactly. Expect less of them.
Okay, expect less of them. All right, I've worked out this way now. I'm going to come and cover your class an hour a week. It will just, for 2 terms, it will give you some time out because I know you've got a lot going on right now. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Rather than, I don't know. Look, we need subject leaders. I'm well within my rights to tell you to do this. So just crack on. Because that's basically what happens.
Yeah.
I'm well within my rights to say the contract says that you've got to plan, deliver, and mark lessons. So I'm well within my rights to just expect you to do it and not worry about it.
Yeah.
Oh, but head teacher, it's all of the policies we've got in place in our school mean I'm spending like 8 hours more than my mate who works down the road at the weekend doing the same job. Oh, it's not it's that point. I'm like, oh, there's the line.
Yeah.
There's the line. You cross that line now because they just said someone else is doing the same job for the same pay.
Sure.
8 hours less. Maybe you could do something at this point now about your policies because they're in your control. So there's probably some weird lines all over the place for that. But I don't think they can just be blanket like tough. Yeah. Like this head teacher's obviously like, you don't like the rules I've put in place. Yeah. These are the rules.
Yeah. And that's where things like wellbeing surveys come in so handy, is if you're that kind of head teacher who is listening and still knows what you need for your school and the lines and the contracts, but you want to listen to your staff and help reduce their workload, that's where a wellbeing survey should come in as asking professionals, right? Yeah. What I would say, I completely agree with you, by the way, is if a whole group of professionals are saying this is a problem, it's probably a problem. Yeah. Like and even if it's not officially by a contract on a piece of writing saying, oh no, you can do that. If 16 professionals are saying, I do this job and I've done this job for a long time and the average tenure of these professionals is 8 years, and they say this is bad, it's probably bad. Yeah. They're not just saying, because they're already doing miles more anyway. Yeah. So in the context of teachers, I'm not saying always that it's always going to be the teacher who's correct, but in a group environment of that many teachers, if in this situation of a wellbeing survey being basically poo-pooed on because they didn't like the outcomes, it's likely then that you're the problem. Yeah. And a bit of decorum and a bit of grace about it might go a long way to helping your staff.
I'm so sorry that you all feel this way. Yeah. I really am quite shocked by it, and I'm trying not to take it personally because I didn't know this, but I'm going to do something about it, and I'm going to speak to you individually about these problems, and we're going to try and make some solutions. I can't promise anything because at the end of the day, we've got a job and we've got a contract to fulfill. But I will try my hardest to alleviate some of these pressures for you. Done. There you go. I've done that job for them. Write that down, Mr. Head Teacher or Mrs. Head Teacher.
Well, and if ever a head teacher does say what you said, by the way, which is the kind of thing of just, the contract, I'm allowed to do a subject coordinator. As staff, do you know what you should do? Yeah. The contract says reasonable. It says you can't tell me what is reasonable. Yeah. So I'm doing less.
So I'm going home at 4:30 now every single day rather than 5:30. See you later, mate. Good luck with the job. Yeah. Anyway, new one. You'll love this one. Go on. This is going to get your back. It's like a rile up Dylan section. Someone said, my toxic school gives out attendance certificates to teachers in assembly. Oh my God. I'm just going to read that again. Gives out attendance certificates to teachers in assembly. Had to go on stage with the kids.
Oh, no. No. Oh. We've done a whole thing. I posted the video. It went mental. Yeah. 98% people agreed with how I think attendance awards in general are just a bit not nice. They just...
But what do you think about for teachers?
I think it's insane. Because again, a lot of the comments on that were things like, the odd comment of people trying to defend them. Obviously, as always, trying to be that savior to come in. Oh, no, they are fine because that's... Someone was saying, well, aren't they just, preparing you for the real world where you have to show up for work? Aren't they just preparing you for that real world? And someone was basically like, no, not at all. Yeah. It's fine for me to have a few days off sick and I still get paid. I get sick pay. Yeah. It's the complete opposite. Yeah, it's like not even actively don't want you to come in if you're ill. If you've got a sickness bug, 100. Do you know what 100% attendance awards does? It makes you want to come in and spread it. Yeah. It makes you want to come in and give it to everyone else. And if they stay at home because the school say sickness bug, got to be off for 48 hours. Yeah. Oh, okay, school, I'll do that.
They don't get the award now.
Sorry, my kids still have that ice cream and trip to Alton Towers that you've arranged for attendance. No, sorry. Okay, well, I'll bring them in then. Nope.
They still get a chance to win that iPhone. Yeah. What? Yeah.
What's going on with these schools? Sorry, there's a raffle for an iPad for turning up to school. Sorry, I had appendicitis.
Yeah. Do I lose out on that now? Insane. Yes, you do. Insane. And maybe you'll think about that appendix next time, you little...
So, putting this on to staff. Yeah. Get in the bin.
Yeah, what is that? It's so condescending.
Unbelievable.
Honestly, I think I would die of embarrassment. If that happened, I wouldn't go like... Yeah, I'd be like, no, I'm all right, mate. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm actually an adult. So I'm all right, cheers. I know. Yeah, I didn't come in for this. Yeah. I came in because I was well.
This is where our profession is so toxic. Yeah. Is the treatment of staff as if they're still children because we're in this school environment and we think it's okay. Yeah. Name one other profession ever where you would see 100% attendance award for a year.
Oh, mate. Do you know what?
It wouldn't even be laughed at.
It does remind me a little bit though of like employee of the month sort of vibe. Yeah, but it gives you a similar vibe.
At least
it's not attendance.
At least that can be because of effort or because of what you
some sort of metric.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I find that a bit like cringy. But this is the ultimate, isn't it? Yeah. Ultimate. So yeah, attendance awards in general are stupid, but doing it to staff.
Teachers, embarrassing, mate. Embarrassing.
Let's do another one because this one really got my back up. And do you know what? It gave me flashbacks to my first score, my first sets of observations. Right, had an outstanding maths observation. Firstly, cool. This might be old because we shouldn't really be grading observations anymore. But either way, clearly a very good maths lesson that was being observed. Whilst dealing with 2 kids with diabetes and giving injections mid-lesson, I've had children with diabetes before. The kids with diabetes are always unbelievably mature and grown up and amazing.
Yeah, because they got like a life-threatening thing to deal with.
I know it's a side thing, but it's like those kids were unbelievable.
Yeah, they have to be. They're forced to be mature.
So good. Yeah.
But anyway, go on.
Anyway, sorry. But was told in feedback that it wasn't outstanding because my geography display wasn't finished.
Oh my God.
What?
My God.
It's
similar to that first one, isn't it? Like displays being graded. Why is anyone doing that in a school?
Why is anyone doing that anyway? Never mind in a maths observation.
Yeah. And it's not even the maths display. There's so many layers here that it's like removed from. I don't have much more to say than the last one. In all honesty, it is just so toxic to grade someone's teaching ability in maths on the classroom environment with foundation subjects. Like, just get in the bin.
Can you see why it kind of gave me flashbacks?
Yeah, definitely.
Because when we started our career, we would get observed frequently. I think too frequently, to be honest with you.
Probably, yeah.
Like maybe at the start, termly's good, but still like further into our career, we were still observed quite a lot. And it was always graded. Yeah. And it was always really intricately graded. Like so many little things were graded on certain scales and stuff. And we had an overall judgment at the end.
Yeah.
So like mine were maybe like good, cusp of outstanding, like dangling that carrot to keep you working. Obviously, that's what they were doing. And I remember constantly in observations, even when I worked my way up to an outstanding lesson, and I'd be like, because I was completely sucked into like trying to get there.
Yeah.
Even in that outstanding lesson, there was always had to be 3 points of improvement. Yeah. Had to be. And it was always like, getting better never stops. I was like, oh my God, this is so toxic. Because do you know what you can do sometimes to a professional?
Yeah.
You can just say to them, that was amazing.
Just praise them.
Well done.
Yeah.
There's no next step. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Oh, I've got to think of a next step. I've heard this before from middle management who have said to me, it was so good. I've got to put a next step. So I'm going to think of one and come back to you. What?
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Can't even think of one.
Yeah, can't even think of one right now. You need to do a next step for me so badly that you need to go away and think of what would be a suitable one to do.
Yeah.
And in this case, clearly they were told, well, we can't give outstanding. Find something. The sky was a bit grey today. Oh, sorry, can't be outstanding.
Mental. In my first year of teaching, same sort of thing. I can't remember exactly what it was, but the head teacher walked into my lesson when I was teaching once. I wasn't even an observation, we were just walking around, and just straight up ripped something off my display because it was like the last term's thing. It was wrong. There's one thing. Most of my display, I was pretty on it then because I was like in fear.
Yeah.
But just straight up, I was mid-teaching, just ripped it off. Like, obviously I can see it and hear it. It completely threw me off. It made me feel really, really anxious and nervous. And I was just like, I look back on that, I'm like, I wish I had the gumph to say what I'd say to them now. If they were in this room right now and they did that, and I was in teaching, what I would do and say is very, very different to what I did and said then, honestly.
But they only did that because probably they knew they could get away with it.
It's a power move, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's just toxic. It's toxic. It's just embarrassing. It's like, no, don't embarrass me like that. It's not what you do to your staff. You don't embarrass them in front of the kids, no matter what. It's just not acceptable.
She did.
But there we are. Yeah.
Anyway, let's go on to another one.
Okay, next one. In SLT meeting, new head teacher asked me to stand up.
Ooh,
sounds great.
Gonna get some
it?
praise.
Loving a bit of praise in a staff meeting. And then she proceeded to say that she doesn't want any member of SLT to look or dress like me because it's embarrassing and not professional.
There's a theme here. There's a theme here.
Yeah.
It's when a bunch of assholes
Dylan
are in charge of a school. That's what's happening here. Insecure.
Dylan,
they're in charge.
I've got to do 2 edits now.
Oh yeah, beep me out, baby. I'll say it one more time if you want.
No, please don't.
Okay, because that is what's happening here. These people are horrible. There's no 2 sides here.
Yeah.
If we upload this little reel to TikTok or Instagram, so don't you think that you should maybe look that way because it's professional? Don't you think that you should do that? Get in the bin because it's nothing to do with what's going on here. Don't make someone stand up and say, "Don't look like that." Unless it's Hayden and his neighbour, obviously. But don't look like that. Don't look like that, please.
Yeah.
It's so unprofessional. It's insane. And this is the theme going through. It's when horrible people manage to get to the top somehow, probably because they weren't very good at teaching.
Bolsh their way through.
Just like, I'm just going to get to the top. You've seen it a million times before. I know the type of people who spend their whole teaching career trying to do as little teaching as possible and try and cozy up to the people at the top as much as possible and be their yes man and throw other people under the bus all the way through their career because they want to end up with that top job. This is what happens when they get to the top. They continue to bully and intimidate other people. It's horrendous.
Yep, it is. I have nothing more to add to that. She or he is embarrassing, the head teacher. Yeah. They're embarrassing. It's not the person who's dressing whatever way they're dressing up.
What would you do if someone did that to you? Like advice now, genuinely, for people who are like, God. How do you... But what... I'd see red.
The problem is, I would not respond in a way that I would advise.
But here's the problem. This is what winds me up: is when you're bullied or intimidated or put in those situations by people in the power above you, right?
Yeah.
It's always, don't react like that. Don't you know what? It should be okay sometimes to react in like a way which is just your emotions, because that's what they deserve. Yeah. But it's so annoying to me, and I know why, and I get it. But it's just annoying to me that the person receiving all that abuse and that bullying is then judged on their reaction.
Yeah, if they're rude.
But you should keep your cool and be very professional. It annoys me because I wouldn't.
Yeah, they're not being professional. The person that's being horribly rude to you and demeaning you in front of everyone, your reaction was a bit rude to them.
Yeah.
So we think you probably could have handled it more professionally. Yeah, I see what you mean. It is ridiculous. And you know what? There is a level to where that is true, genuinely, where it's like you should, for your own sake, for your own dignity, like you should remain professional and deal with things properly. But
of course.
But I would absolutely see if they did that to me and like ridiculed me in front of like all of my staff and friends and stuff like that. I would lose it, in all honesty. I'd absolutely lose it. I'd probably be really upset.
Yeah.
But I would be very angry, and I'd probably say something very horrible.
You should improve your clothing.
You know what I'm like?
You should improve your clothing.
I should improve my clothing. You can say it, because after the podcast, I'll be horrible to you.
Can you stand up?
For a podcast, can you not dress like this? Yeah, ridiculous. It's almost making me like kind of feel angry because I'm imagining myself in that situation now. But yeah, I can't imagine how they felt. I imagine very upset.
Right, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, go on.
Had an Ofsted. Always a great start to a story about toxic. And each category was good, except for leadership and management, which requires improvement.
Whee!
Yeah, I know, right? As teachers, if you're working in a toxic school, that can be quite like a pat on the back of like, you are right. Yeah, you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
No, it's not, because you've got to listen to the rest of this. Oh, my bad. The head stood up to all staff and said, by the way, leadership management requires improvement. That means all of us. That means everyone. Because you, teachers, are the leaders of your classroom.
Oh my God, clutching at straws.
I replied to this comment and I said, I want to laugh at how insane this deflection is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the gumph to be either so brainwashed or so embarrassed that you feel you need to say something about that you think, no, we've all got to share this.
Yeah.
So we've all got to share this. Teaching and learning, good. Cool. That's all of us because I'm a head teacher.
Yep.
And when was the last time you taught?
I teach you all the
I'm a teacher.
time.
Exactly. I teach you all the time. The thing that got me was the amount of people replying underneath saying, we had this. Like, we had this. Like the pure deflection, they can't even take. They're so good, these toxic management lot, at sitting in your classroom, looking around, looking for something to pick out. Oh, that's bad. Oh, your display's not good. Oh, actually, that kid didn't do much learning. Okay, thank you. Okay, I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me that. God, I wouldn't have known that unless this observation was happening. Wow, thank you so much. But they can't take it themselves.
No, of course they can't.
They cannot take. I'd love to sit in one day or in their office when they're sat around doing, I don't know what they're doing, or something. I'm sure it's important. Like, please don't put me on SLT. But I'm talking specifically about toxic people now, who I know are in these positions because they know they can do less.
Sit there and judge them on their efficiency of whatever.
Actually, you could have used that time more better. Oh, actually, no. Look. Oh, actually, look in your office. I don't think that's been updated.
That safeguarding thing got recorded at 12, and you actually only replied to it at 3. You could have done that at 2.
Yeah.
You weren't so busy. Come on,
what were you doing?
That is inadequate support.
Exactly that. So like, just come on. It's when these people get a taste of their own medicine and they can't hack it.
Yeah.
That's what's disgusting.
Definitely. And these people often want to know what their staff are saying about them, which leads me on to my next one, which says hidden cameras with audio in the staff room.
I couldn't believe this one.
That's just like, surely that's like some legal stuff.
Yeah.
Like, surely at that point, I'll be like taking them to court.
Yeah. And there were a few comments about this, about like recordings or, hidden cameras, not even necessarily hidden, but just staff not made aware.
It's for your well-being. It's just for your safeguarding in case a kid comes in and anything happens, we've got it on camera. Is it?
Is it because you didn't tell me that it was there?
Yeah.
So that makes me think it's not for my safeguarding.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know they existed.
Yeah.
So what's this got to do with me? Honestly, we've talked about this before. the staff room needs to be a safe space.
Yeah, it does.
Because even if you work in the best school in the world, there are going to be times as colleagues that you want to chat rubbish about your boss. That is the most human nature thing in the world. And as someone who is both a teacher with bosses and someone who runs a company and has teachers who work for us, I understand it from both ends.
Yeah, of
like
course.
I really get on with the SLT in my school. I like them as people. There is always going to be a point in the staff room where we say, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
And I'm sure from SLT's point of view, there's always a point where they'll get to go, be like, God, I can't believe Dylan did this. That's annoying. That's just the way, that's professionalism.
Yeah.
Because you're going to talk about your job and you're going to disagree with some stuff. That is fine. Same for when we're in charge, when we're in our tutoring company. There's going to be things we ask our tutors to do sometimes. I can imagine where the tutor's like, oh God, I got to do that.
You'd think so. But fortunately for us, we're the only management that doesn't happen for. Actually, all of our staff, they only say nice things about us. No, of course they don't. Like, it's a real point, and you have to accept that. Yeah. You can't take it personally. Yeah. It's a job.
Exactly that.
It's a job. Yeah.
As long as it's I just think you're looking for ways to catch people out, basically.
Yeah. It just seems a bit ludicrous.
Annoying.
I'd be leaving that school straight away if that. I saw a camera.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm out of here. Thanks. Here's my notice. See you later. Good luck with that.
We already know. We heard you 3 weeks ago.
yeah, we've already actually got your replacement in already. We heard you moaning.
Right, go on. Next one, Aidan.
Okay, so for completing my NQT year, I was awarded a card addressed. Sorry, I'm laughing. I was awarded a card addressed to someone else.
It's because it's so unbelievable.
I probably would laugh if that was me. Just like, I can't believe they've done this.
But you'd laugh in a way where like, but you're giving your blood, sweat and tears your NQT year.
Let me finish. It says, for a whole year, they had my name wrong.
Oh my God.
They thought I had a chip on my shoulder when I left it on the table.
How can that even happen?
Yeah. I tell you how it could happen, is it probably would happen with me and you, because we get misnamed all the time if we started. But yeah, in all seriousness, like, come on, an NQT, surely you're
ultimate support.
You're dealing with them so much. You must know their name.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine being the SLT, being like, oh, rude.
Yeah, I know.
They left that card on the table. Clearly.
I can't believe Johnny left that card here. Johnny didn't. Wasn't Johnny.
Johnny didn't, mate.
Johnny doesn't exist.
Yeah, that was Derek.
Yeah, it wasn't Derek either.
Young Derek.
It wasn't Derek. It was John.
Yeah, that's just insane. Kind of made me laugh, so sorry for laughing at that. But
you're not.
Yeah,
you're not sorry.
Obviously,
it's a little bit funny.
Yeah, you know what? I'm reacting as if it was me.
Yeah.
If I finished my NQT year, stressful year, and then open up the card and it said, Dylan, you've done such a good job. I would, deep down, I'd be like, oh, really?
Yeah.
But I would probably laugh on the surface because
it would still be unacceptable.
That sort of stuff I find kind of funny.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right, this is a couple in a row now that are kind of linked together.
Yeah,
we had a lot of comments about being put on support plans. Yeah. Support plans in general. Oh, we've all heard it before. So we're going to skip past all the generic ones where you're put in a support plan just because you're being targeted, essentially.
Picks the ones that we thought no one will guess this.
Yeah, this is insane. So reasons to be put on the support plan. Have a think, guys. Reasons why you might be put on a support plan as a teacher. Let's see if these two come up. Number 1, being put on a support plan because I'd become a union rep. Isn't that the ultimate, like, you're going after the wrong person?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what support plans are for, actually.
I know, insane. Oh,
so funny.
Oh, I've just joined, I'm a union rep now, and I've just been unfairly put on a support plan. Oh, they could have picked anyone else to do this to, but they chose the union rep.
And this one, Dylan, I had every reaction in my body of like, from anger to like, this is laughably stupid. I was put on an informal, we'll talk about that in a minute, an informal support plan. And one of my targets was to lose weight.
Oh my God.
So it's my neighbor. my neighbor's on TikTok.
Your neighbor's on TikTok?
My neighbor's working in toxic SLT.
Oh, Hayden, I think you need to go on a support
plan. But like, my gut reaction, my first reaction, because they put a funny emoji at the end, was to sort of laugh at that. And I was like, oh, that's because it's so ridiculously laughable.
Yeah.
I was like, of course, like, surely this is not real.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, something about my physical appearance is on my teaching support plan. What are you talking about? And then it quickly turned into, actually, that's like really horrible.
It's horrendous.
That's actually horrible and toxic and genuinely disgusting that someone could actually like even insinuate something like that to like professionally. Me and my neighbor, it's a laugh.
Yeah, of course.
It's not the same. We're having a laugh,
friends,
and even afterwards, exactly. We'll joke about physical things that I'd never say to someone else because it's like the nuance isn't there. Like that's the whole point of like even like dark humor. Sometimes you do it with people that you know don't really think that you think that.
Exactly.
That's the whole point of that kind of humor.
Yeah.
But like so this sort of thing here. It like you can't do that. It's a power. It's a different power dynamic.
Yeah.
What do you mean an informal support plan and one of my targets was to lose weight? If someone did that to me, I would assume they were joking. There was no part of me that would think that's serious. I couldn't even like bring myself to believe that someone would do that and be remotely being serious.
Yeah, but even in that situation, even if they're joking, it's still mental.
Yeah.
It's still mad. And can we just very quickly talk about informal support plans? Because I think there'll be a lot of people out there who are like, oh yeah, I know someone who was put on a support plan, but it wasn't official. It was like informal. An informal support plan is just a way for SLT to get around being pushed back on stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's no paperwork for it. There's no official unions can't come in and be like, right, let me see this support plan. As soon as it's an informal support plan, what they're doing is trying to push you and nudge you into doing something that fits with them, which they know is probably not the right thing to do, else they would have done it formally.
It's good old manipulation, because it's like saying, look, we could put you on a proper support plan. We'd have to go down this horrible route. It's really awkward. But look, we want to help you. We want to save you that trouble. So we're just going to do it informally. We're just going to do that support plan informally. Just to help you out. Yeah. Just to help you out. Now go home and do all this work and lose some weight.
Yeah. Yeah. Insane. Insane.
What? Sorry, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you use it to do a personal attack? No.
No. Mm.
Otherwise, I'd put it on a real support plan. Well, I won't, because I'm nice.
Yeah, honestly. Unbelievable. Right, another one. Was on the verge of a breakdown. Had an observation by head teacher on the Tuesday, but told I wasn't getting feedback until Friday. Asked the phase leader if it was bad, and she just smirked at me and said, well, put it this way. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes when it comes around to it.
What?
I know.
What?
I know. So much to unpick here. How many times, right, have you been in observation and had to wait for feedback? And I remember this, and it was like even like waiting until the end of the day.
Yeah, the end of the day was enough anxiety for me.
Oh God, I didn't even get a thing. I didn't understand. Oh my gosh.
My days.
So she said she cried all week in fear. Meeting was awful. Had a breakdown because she was on the verge of one anyway. Obviously, this is a very toxic school. Went back after 6 weeks to hand my notice in.
Yeah, do you know what? Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you for getting back in there and doing that, though. Because a lot of people would have just been so in fear and like just come back and like just taken it and carried on and hated their job. Good for you for having 6 weeks off and then put your notice in. That was like a little, I know it's not much, but it's a little bit of like a kick, a little jab back. I've had 6 weeks off and now I'm leaving. See you later.
But imagine being, whenever I've done observations, so I've done a few observations as maths lead and things like that. I have always thought to myself, when I leave this observation, I'm going to say no matter what, okay? Genuinely, no matter, it could be the worst lesson I've ever seen. Yeah. Right. Genuinely. Or an amazing lesson or usually something in between. I would leave the room and I would say, don't worry about anything. Honestly, it's all good. Don't worry about
definitely.
it. You'd say that just to calm their nerves. And then later on, because you're a professional, if you're giving that feedback to someone else, has put their heart into this, whether it's bad or good, or you're just going to be a human right now. You're going to give them some really nice feedback on something. Yeah. And then you're going to say, we've got a few things to work on. But then that's received so much better. Yeah. Imagine being this horrible person, this horrible phase leader. We'll put it this way. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes on Friday.
It's just mean. You actually have to be quite a vicious person to say something like that. I would never naturally say something like that I just would never do it. It would never even come into my head to say something like that. My gut reaction is to save people's feelings at all times. There's one time in the past, and I hope you don't mind me talking about this, where we've had to give feedback, right? Yeah. And there were, like you said, there were good parts of the lesson, but there was a couple of things that this person needed to work on. So when we had to report back to the head teacher, because we'd looked around the whole school, we said, we saw this, and this. There was one thing that stood out that we just need to address this at some point. Thinking, okay, we'll address it that way. And then the feedback got kind of quickly chucked to this person and it got them upset. Yeah. And I remember me and you feeling mortified because we were like, no, that's absolutely not how we wanted this dealt with. Like, we would have gone in and said this nice stuff and then, like you said, dealt with it in a particular way. And that's just one time that's happened. And it stitched with me in my head because I'm like, that person at the end of the day was upset based on some feedback that I was going to give them but didn't get the chance to give them. And I'm mortified by that. These people do it for a living. Mm-hmm. They do it literally all the time, like weekly, monthly, termly, go to classes and go, what's the worst thing I can find in here? Just so I can knock them down a peg. Yeah. Oi, that bit was rubbish. And I'm going to tell you next week, though, you got to sit on it for a week. Yeah. Yeah. I can't fathom it. No. I can't fathom it.
It's pure toxicity. That's what we're talking about here. Yeah. Again, people like to jump to conclusions. There'll be someone listening to this again. I'm thinking more when you get them little clips online and they'll be like, their honest reaction will be, well, don't you think you should give negative feedback? Don't you think it's important to give this feedback back to and improve? you're so lost in your bootlicking ways that you're so indoctrinated into this idea of just everything's woke and no one can say anything anymore that you just forget the repeat emotions and people involved. And there is no situation where someone should be sat for a week waiting for feedback they've been told is crap. They've been told is rubbish, and they know they're going to get in trouble. Some people are built different. That will affect some people so much they won't sleep. You are a horrible human if you think that's acceptable. And you want to do that. It's as simple as that.
There is a way.
Talking about horrible people.
There is a way of doing it. There is a way of doing it. If you're an SLT member and you've upset people in the past, do you know what? Seriously, go away and think about where you can get some training to deliver feedback like this in a better way, because there literally is ways. You can deliver the worst feedback to someone in the nicest possible way. Yeah, it might still upset them a little bit, like the end of the day, because they're annoyed about that feedback, but they can still leave the meeting thinking they did that in the most respectful way as possible. And there is a big difference between that and them also being upset and leaving it thinking they couldn't have disrespected me anymore if they tried. There's just ways to do it.
All right, 2 more left. And this is really what we were talking about earlier when we did our trigger warning. So again, just before we get into it, we're going to talk about grief, family members dying, miscarriage. So if it's not something you want to listen to, maybe finish up there and we'll see you next time. But let's jump into these now. Hayden, start us off.
Sure. So this person wrote in and said, my mum died very suddenly and I had major panic attacks, so I was signed off by a doctor, obviously. Contacted by the head teacher because I was spotted out surfing. Apparently, I shouldn't be surfing if I'm ill or grieving.
It's such an antiquated look at this. So first of all, ill or grieving. Okay, well, let's draw a distinction there as well. Okay. If you're calling in to say that you've got a chest infection and then they see you out having a hearty time at the pub, there's an issue. Okay. There is an issue. I agree. Right. If you're grieving because someone very close to you has died, which is what's happened in this situation. And as a result of that, there are some medical issues like the panic attacks as well. Okay. That's completely different. Where what do you want her to do? Do you want her to sit in a dark room days on end grieving, and what you see as traditional grief where you sit and feel sorry and wallow and then you're just upset all the time? Do you know what healthy grieving looks like? It's enjoying yourself in the times you can. What do they expect? Going to someone who's going through grief and monitoring what they're doing, because they're not in work, and we're in this capitalist society where work's the be all and end all. It's the most important thing. It's what should define you. No, work's a thing that gets in the way of being a human half the time. And if you're going through grief and you want to go surfing because it helps you get over the fact that someone close to you has passed away horrifically, suddenly, and you feel like you didn't get that closure, and you going on the waves helps you for a bit, that head teacher needs to reassess their whole outlook on life, because it's disgusting. That'll be the same head teacher that ironically does it at tick boxes. Having yoga wellbeing meetings, it'll be the same one, because they don't really believe in it. They don't really care. They just want to tick box stuff. It's nonsense to me. I don't really have much to add other than obviously grieving is a mental. It's an illness in your mind. It's not it's not like you broke your leg. If they saw you surfing and you said you broke your leg and you're lying, that's very different, isn't it? But with your grieving, it's in here. You shouldn't be like, that's probably the last place I want to be, is sat wallowing. Like I'd need to go for walks or do the thing. For me, it would be going for a walk. For this person, it's surfing. If someone said, you were off grieving, Hayden, and we actually saw you walk in. We actually saw you walk into the shops, forest or something,
like in the middle of the day. Like we can't do that because parents might see you walking out and about and think, "Why aren't you in your job?" Mental, because that's really common.
2 things on that. Firstly, I know you didn't mean this, but you called being grieving like an illness, like a mental.
Well,
illness.
I was trying to compare.
No,
it to
I know. I'm just saying right now. I don't want anyone to think it's not a mental illness. It's it's a very
It sounded like the phrase.
It's completely normal. So I'm just clearing that up for people going through grief at the minute, thinking you're not ill. You're just going through normal human emotions. And the second thing is on what you said about head teachers being like spies almost on your free time. This does extrapolate. Like there are some grey areas. This to me is insane. I don't think there's any defense of that. I don't think anyone will be saying, "Oh yeah, you should be."
No, some people will. You know what people are like.
Oh, that's
some
true.
Some people will
there's
look at that and be like, "No, yeah, you shouldn't be surfing. You're grieving. You should be at home."
Yeah, don't give them the time of day. But the further along is like I've had before where staff have said, do I have PPA at home, right? But I've heard of head teachers say, "Oh, but don't go to the shops." Don't go to the shops. You might see a parent, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's the school day, and Miss whatever her name is in Primark buying some undies, and isn't it school time?" I was like, even that, I think, So if the parent's got a problem with that, deal with the parent. Just say to them, "Oh no, it's their PPA time. They're doing their work in their free time."
How easy is it to explain that? Honestly?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, if one parent complained, if I worked in that school, right, first I'll give the parents the benefit of the doubt because I don't think many parents would.
I
think it's a made-up issue that head teachers
absolutely.
like to make up. But if a parent did actually write in and complain with like just concern, I would immediately be like, cool, I'm going to draft up a letter, send it out to everyone so it's clarified once and for all. Everyone knows now. This is our PPA policy at our school. Teachers can do what they want. They can do the work when they want because they're adults. Cheers.
I know.
Done. There you go. Never have to mention it again. Ooh, well done.
Yeah. Because if there is an issue with work not being done, then talk to your staff about it. But don't just assume. If I want to nip to the shop on my PPA, it's probably because it's easier for me to do that on the way home than I'll carry on with my work. Yeah. I'm already planning at the weekend. Leave me alone. Right, last one.
Go on.
This one, I was probably the one that shocked me to my core, gutted me the most. Also, so this was someone's comment. They'd already said what their toxic story was, but this was about their colleague.
Sure.
So a colleague of mine had a miscarriage, and the head teacher said, well, at least we don't have to worry about you going on maternity leave now, eh? And I know this is a podcast, but I sometimes don't know what to say.
Yeah, it honestly, like, mate, that's the only one today, and maybe for personal reasons, made my like heart sink in that one because, like, okay, so full disclosure, me and Lauren have been through this process. Like, this is something that's happened to us in the past, and it's horrible. It's horrific. It's a horrific experience. And I know that things have come in recently, like that. They're really trying to push like legislation and law that like treating miscarriage the same as like other like further along in pregnancies and losing children after like once they're born, like things like that. They're trying to treat it as this is just as horrible to deal with, and we need to stop normalizing. Oh yeah, like this person's clearly joking because they think, oh, just a miscarriage. Like, what do you mean? No, don't say that. Don't say that. That's horribly insensitive. Yeah, like that makes me feel like a little bit upset almost. Where I'm just like, we went through that, and if our head teacher had said that to me or Lauren, I think I don't know. I don't know how I would have been. I would have been so upset and disappointed. Genuinely, I don't think I would have been able to speak to them again because they would have hurt me like so much to my core that they were so insensitive about something so personal and affected, like that affects you so much. I don't know. Insane. Yeah, that makes me feel funny.
And it's just like, you know, it's projecting problems you might have with your job onto someone else's personal experience. That's really negative. Like making a head teacher making a joke about how they suddenly have a bit less of an annoyance to do, right? On its own is clearly fine, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Right? But this is attached to something horrific. Yeah. Like as if there's a silver lining. As if this person will go, haha, yeah, that was a pro of this horrific thing that went through.
There's no pros to this in their mind.
Not even thinking about it. Leave me alone. Yeah. Get in the bin.
I'm quite disgusted at that. Like, I get, you know what? Maybe, like you said, maybe they're just trying to, that awkwardness of like, I don't know what to say. Maybe I can try and cheer them up with a joke. But it's like, you gotta read the room a bit differently in that situations like that.
And in a professional situation, sometimes just don't do a joke. They're so, you know, something. Oh, well, it was just a joke. That's not good enough. Yeah. Sometimes you just don't do a joke.
Sometimes you just have to say, I'm really sorry to hear this. This is awful. Yeah. And that's what they need to hear. They need to validate the fact that is awful. And I'm nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry. It's terrible. It's awful. I'm so sorry.
Horrendous.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Ugh.
So those last two in particular, I think they hit home more because what winds me up the most about these ones is that it can happen to anyone. Yeah. Like it could happen to SLT tomorrow, any of this stuff. And you would expect, I would still be wanting to give them that respect that I'd expect the other way around, no matter what they're like. Definitely. And I think to summarize here, we're talking about toxic schools. What we're really talking about nearly every time here are toxic, horrible individuals,
who have got themselves into positions of power in schools and then have utilized their horrible toxicity to affect other people's lives. And unfortunately, it happens a lot. And I will say this as well about those last two that you read. The saddest thing about this whole thing to me was because we had like 1,000 comments on this TikTok that you made. The amount of comments that we saw that were basically the same or very similar to those last two that we just read from different people about bereavements and miscarriages and loss. It was actually like upsetting,
heartbreaking.
There was so many, and I was like, I can't believe that these aren't just like these stood out amongst the 1,000. It's like, well, at least this isn't happening much. This is happening all the time in loads of places. Apparently, I just can't believe it. Like it's disgusting, and it spurs me on more. Like we do this podcast to call out this shit. And
is that another one? Or?
Sorry, I've done it. I've got to edit my own one now. Crikey, we do though. We do it to call out. We talk about the good stuff, but we also call out this stuff because not everyone feels empowered enough to have a voice in these sorts of things. And hopefully, so some of you, I hope that we help you find that voice if you agree with our opinions and And sometimes, I don't know, maybe you then push the boat out at work and you say something and stand up and be like, actually, this is wrong. I don't think we should do this, because you hear us talking about thousands of other people's experiences where it's like, oh no, we all agree on this.
I'd like to think if a bunch of these things happened to me, I'd say something immediately, and I'd like to think staff would say something. Be the person to say something. If you're in a room and you hear someone in a position of power acting like this to someone who's grieving, someone who's gone through miscarriage, someone who's gone through something really personal, and you know it's wrong, be the person to tell them it's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, because that's not easy sometimes, but this is different this is just another level up from us saying about how it's annoying when they introduce 4 new colored pens to mark with. Yeah. I'd still say speak up for that. This is the most important thing to speak up for. If you're living and breathing, because we do spend so much of our lives in this job, in an environment where this is acceptable, be the person to stand up and tell them this is wrong.
I agree.
Let's finish there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll catch you next time, where hopefully maybe we'll have some more nice things that we can talk about.
Was a real deep
this is
ending,
important. This is important. We're going to keep doing it.
Yeah,
and sometimes there aren't solutions. Sometimes we just have to say, you're a horrible person, sort your life out. That's what it was all like this.
So Dylan, you're a horrible person.
Thank you.
Sort your life out.
Nice one. And your next door neighbour, let's go see him. Yeah, some nice sharp words for you.
Yeah.